Where's the gameplay? Oh, there it is. It was just in the 1 second between Mario dying and the music restarting. How is everyone doing? Like I said on mouse over there. Like I said on Sunday, did that whole big long Persona 5 Royale stream, in which I finished that game. We got it all done. We're on to new things now, in the future. As I said, doing a little bit of a making stream. My initial intent was to just focus on the new level, the next level, which is called Sunburn Sanctuary, the first level of bonus biome, the next world of my super world. But honestly, I'm less happy with my near-do Nebula than I thought. Just based on like some watching a couple of streamers play through it. So we're gonna focus mostly tonight, at least for the first part. I'm not sure like how long this will take, in doing revisions to this level, and most especially trying to tone down the boss fight in its 2 phases just a tad. Just a scotch. I'll tell you what's going on with that, but first let me just say I don't have any cards prepared for tonight. This is gonna be a shorter stream. I'll talk about like anime I've been watching. I'll talk about news of the world. Like, hey, did you see Pokemon? You're gonna re-upload it? Yeah, maybe. We'll see if that'll be tonight, or maybe I'll do that off stream. It won't take that long, I think, to re-upload if I'm making it easier. Because if you remember, on Friday, I did clear check it in one go. It's just that there are 2 checkpoints, so it does take a little while to go through all 3, all 3 of them, all 3 checks. Pokemon Stadium is coming like next week, I think. Or is it this weekend? I don't know. I don't know when Pokemon Stadium's come, but that's cool. I like those mini games. We'll talk about all that sort of stuff next time, which will be the big Pikmin. Pikmin 1, 2, and 3, where I switch between them every when is the Mario movie? Is that this weekend too? I guess I should see that. I'll be switching between games every 3 in-game days. And let me show you something for that stream. Let me show you. I got this all whipped up. So I got that little thing that'll go over, and it'll be like at the side when it's like the GameCube games, because there's like more space for those. It'll be bigger. But basically, I can do this. Look at this. Whoops, the sound effect that I forgot about. The sound effect would go off with that hotkey. Anyway, ignore the sound effect. But basically I can make it so that, as we go around, like, it'll be like a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and then they all shrink down, basically with the same hotkey, which is pretty nifty. I figured out a way to do that. It's pretty convenient for me, not having to like, have individual hotkeys for each of those little sun guys. And also, it looks quite nice as well. I'll have to set it up so that the fucking sound effect doesn't go up. Oh shit! I'll have to do something about that sound effect in this. Can I not use that hotkey because of that sound effect? Maybe I'll change the sound effect. Maybe I'll change the hotkey. That'll work. Okay, but seriously though. Really happy with how that's looking. I think I got like maybe 1 or 2 other things to maybe set up. But basically I'll have it for the Switch game, it'll be like in the corner of the screen or something, all small, and for the GameCube games it'll be bigger and in the spot where there's, no gameplay because it's 4x3. And I think that'll help to explain the concept to anyone who drops in on that. That'll be Thursday. That'll be starting at 6 p.m. That'll be a whole thing. Today, though, we're just doing Mario Maker. We're just doing a little Mario making. And Yeah. Alright, let's talk through. I'm gonna play the level, and I'm gonna talk through some of the things I noticed watching other people play it. I basically submitted it to 3 streamers, and watched them play it in turn. I tried to do the thing a little bit where, you know, I don't necessarily give them any instruction. I just, like, let them play it. So I didn't, like, jump in and say, like, hey, you missed a mushroom, or, hey, what are you doing? That's weird. I just watched them do it, because, you know, it's the classic playtesting thing, right? When you see someone making a mistake, you really want to jump in and say, like, hey, but you gotta realize that, you know, most people who play your level don't have you hovering over them to, make a correction, you know? Most of them do not, so, you want to take that in mind. I think, though, the first part, I do have some minor things to correct there, but I think the most big thing that needs correction would be in the boss fight over here, which we'll discuss as we do it. I think most areas are good. That's what I think. I think most areas are good here. Some could just use a very minor adjustment, like a very minor one. Just based on the feedback. So, just based on the playtest that I saw. I say playtest. I submitted it to people and they played it. Not so much a test, so much as a, you know, so much as just like people playing it. You know, fewer levels, that sort of thing. I submit it to like 5 streamers. Oh, Mike's Real actually submitted it to some folks as well. Yeah, let me know. Let's share notes actually, because I got feedback from 3 and actually watched those myself. If you have any, you know what? If you had any really like if you have any VODs of that, I would love to try to pull, like, one of them up. Like, if you have, like, a really, like, pertinent VOD or something, that could be very handy in this, process. And watch this. I'm gonna do it in one go. I'm not gonna even need 2 goes because I made this fucking level. I know it like the back of my hand. I think that's enough. No. That's enough. They said, okay, let me read what Mike's for the real said. Submitted it to 5 streamers. Okay, that's more than what I did. They all liked it and love it. They said that the boss fight is creative, that they didn't even see that before. Gotcha, yeah. I mean, I'll agree. I don't think I've seen anything quite like it before, but I'll tell you what I saw when I submitted it to a streamer. And this is a streamer, by the way, who had been playing a really, really hard level for, like, an hour before, you know, going to other levels. You know, like a Kaizo-style level where, you know, one hit and you die. Just like a labyrinth of moving fire bars and shit. Just, like, ducking and weaving between them. This was the 3rd one I did. I'll start with the first one. The first one got through no problem. The first one just sailed right through in like a try or 2 or 3 and had a great time. The only thing I noted with them is that on this part here, they did this. They when they got here, they killed this guy, and then they landed here, and then they kind of had nothing to do for a minute until the boo wheel came back. Now, they could have jumped like this, but they didn't know that, so they didn't do that. I would like to set it up so that it is a little more obvious that you don't have to fall down like this and waste time. But that's just a minor adjustment. The other thing with one of the other streamers is that they fucked up on this part. The blue platform kind of took them by surprise, that it was a blue and they didn't react fast enough. Simple change there. Let's just make this a little bit higher. Maybe even, like, significantly higher. Maybe even like, yeah, something like that. Then it'd be like something like that would be good. And we could even add in a 10 coin here for you know, waiting. There, and that makes it so that you're sort of encouraged to 10 coins too low, you can't see it from the blue plat. You need to be able to see it from the blue plat to make that decision. That's pretty good. Now, I will say, of this, I also saw one streamer just, like, barrel through and, like, oh, yeah, you know, go through the blue boos rather than go up. And I would like to encourage them to go up because I think that's a more fun path versus, you know, going this way. But I also want to just leave the gap there so that, a speedrunner, someone going for high score, could just, like, really finagle it and just go right through the boo gap. I think that's really cool. I think this little shortcut is just really rad, honestly, so I don't want to destroy it. But I do want to encourage this as the default route for anyone not speedrunning, because I also think it's very cool. Anyway, that's some of the stuff I saw of the players that the first one got through perfectly. Like I said, only this bit, which when I saw it, I thought, like, yeah, let's just make this bigger so that it's more clear that you should be like that you should do like this and land over here. And that's a good way to do it without wasting time. Because the way it was previously, you can absolutely do it, but it's not obvious that you can do it and be safe. You know, it's not obvious at all. You know, you look at that and you think like, oh, I'm gonna die if I land there. Whereas, like, a little bit of an adjustment makes it maybe into a safe perch. Is there anything else we can do to make it so that if you end up over here, you have options? I played your level and it was easy when you know everything. I bet. I bet. And I'll tell you, let me finish my story about, like, the streamers that I watched. The second streamer really struggled with the level, but was eventually able to get through it. This streamer missed a couple of power-ups. Didn't see this one over here for the longest time. This mushroom, which, you know, it's kind of important to get that mushroom since it's the one mushroom in this section. And also didn't see this mushroom in this part of the level. Also ran into this fishbone just a couple of times. Maybe we don't need this fishbones, honestly. Maybe we can lay off with the fishbone, or take it back a notch. Let's lower this guy, and then I'm thinking like this mushroom will be a little bit more visible if it's a bit lower, and also maybe like some coins above to sort of draw the eye to it. In fact, make it that sort of path. Yeah, that sort of coin pattern. Similar to this over here at the start of the level. Use this pattern again. Also, I'll say, you might notice some Wii sound effects in the level. That is because originally Mario wasn't to have the Wii sound effect here on his person, but it was to be played by the boo wheels. That's part of the reason why there ended up being so many boo wheels in this section. Originally, I wanted to make sure that no matter what, this music was playing. But I guess now that that's not the case, we can totally delete some of these boo wheels that are just there to spread the music and otherwise be, you know, a part of the challenge, you know? I mean, they could still be there for challenge, but they're no longer, like, responsible for any musical duties, you know? It's not important to delete these Wii's, but I feel like now that I said it, I should get rid of them because it is a little silly, isn't it? Still having this artifact from earlier. The fishbones was moving, I think, when you were on the blue platform. Which fishbone did you mean? Oh, yeah, it would be moving, yeah. So if let's say, for example, they started from the checkpoint and it's like, what the fuck? You know, they didn't notice that they were like, wait, I can't go in? Yeah, you know, and then you'd do this and you'd be in fish territory. The fish would be like over here when you got over here if that happened. So let's take the fish back so that it's a little more reasonable if you stall and wait a little bit. And besides, he'll still fly at you and that's still fine. This part doesn't have to be hard. It's just a little section where you can get your power-ups back before heading back in. The other thing I noticed the second player that I gave it to did is that he did not jump on any of the fish bones. He didn't know that fish bones were jumpable. I did know this was an issue sometimes, that people don't know this, of fish bones in, you know, non-water settings, that you can jump on them. And I have tried to address it before. Like, there was one level I did where I intentionally made the player go through a door and then fall onto some fish bones, you know, just to make sure that they knew, like, hey, you can jump on these. Similar to what is here at the end in this level, you know, where you're sort of where you have no choice but to fall onto them. But there's really not room in the level for that, so I don't know if my level can educate a player who doesn't know this. I guess I just have to hope that by this point in the Super World, you know, World 7, I'm not actually sure how many other levels use fish bones in dry ground circumstances. But I just have to hope by this point people know, or something. Maybe I could also put in, like, I mean, I could try putting in, like, a fish bones here or something. Would this work? Like, fish bones down here that you land on? I bet they would spawn and they would start moving. Yeah, okay, they spawned and they started moving already. So that's not really going to be the most effective. It'd be one thing if they were hidden and you couldn't see them. This whole jump is a little awkward anyway. Can we rework this into something of a fish bones tutorial section, I wonder? You know what? We could easily do that, actually. Wait, no. Because they're fish bones, they can be lured out just as easily, even if there was, like, a solid chunk of them here, right? You know, your choice isn't just to, like, jump on them and go down. You could also just wait until they zoomed by. And, like, making the path in there harder wouldn't help. Oh, wait, yes it would. You can't really lure them from up here as easily, I don't think. You know, so they're not really taking the bait. You have to jump down and actually bop on them to get through. Yeah, I could put them on a track, but I feel like all the other ones in this upward area are not on track, so it would be a little weird if those two were. Just for, like, consistency here. Kinda like that. I mean, it's a little clunky. A little awkward, but I think in a good way. Move this one back and move this one forward. And, do we like this? This whole, like, big rise? Right, the second thing I wanted to address here at the start was maybe I could lower this by 1 so that it starts on screen. There, now it starts on screen, so it's gonna be harder to miss. I'll say, like, the player in question, it was on screen many a time, this mushroom, but, you know, maybe if it starts on screen, it'll be harder to miss. That's my only thought here. I don't know how else to make a player notice a mushroom that is literally on screen and can't... You know, I would go so far as to say, like, you can't miss it unless you're going for speed. But, you know... Oh, that's the problem. This one got loose. Actually, this makes it a little bit more natural, because if I do it like this, where lower these portals a bit. If I lower that like that, that guy's against a wall, so you can no longer, like, get jammed up all weird. You know how it is with this one, where if you jump on him, sometimes you'll land, like, behind him instead. And you'll be like, what? Oh, you know, it'll feel a little weird. I mean, I could raise this one by a bit, too. Nah, I don't like that. No. I can also move this one a little bit. Make a little more clearance. I kind of like this part. This part's good. You know, I think this part is very simple, but also this part is, like, sort of... One thing I believe in Mario making, in level making, is that not everything needs to be complicated. You know, sometimes it's enough for a area to just be like, yeah, jump off a dude and land on a platform. Or not even a dude, just, you know... just run and jump, you know, that's sometimes all you need. Let's lower this by 1. Actually, even... Wait. Yeah, lower this by 1, this coin trail. No, wait, actually, the booze here, you definitely want to go to the left. Instead, make it 1 longer and make it 1 lower. Perfect. And make this right there. And add, it's too close to this coin trail. That's good enough. Yep, seems good indeed. I agree. I kind of like the revisions here that we've made. I kind of do wonder if there was a way to, like, add some extra vines here. Maybe, like, one that would be more accessible once you take out the Wendy, right? Like, maybe even something like there. So if you take out Wendy and get stuck, you can maybe jump for it. If that makes sense. So if you were to do Wendy and then get stuck over here, it'd be more obvious you could try to go over. But it would be risky to make that jump with Wendy hovering over you, basically is my thought. Let's make the lines look good. Lower that one, and there we go. Yeah, I kind of like that. Multiple things here. One, making this area look bigger so you can jump off it and land there. And 2, if you do end up here, you feel like you have a recourse other than just waiting for the boo wheel to get into the right spot. You know, you can jump up just as easily. I think that's a good... That's a two-factor solution. Does that make sense? That's probably not like an actual phrase. That's solving it on 2 fronts. How about that? Is that clear? I saw no problems with this stuff, except with the minor alterations we already made. Yeah, I think this part is good too. I think with that, let's focus on the Bowser fight. Let's just focus on the Bowser fight and make it real good. Because the Bowser fight, I feel like, is the main tough thing. Don't know why Bowser was jumping a lot in the boss room. He does that. It's sort of random, isn't it? Anyway, with this Bowser, right? The basic thing I found is that, well, one, you have to make sure that the player gets the items going in, and two, I think this area could be improved a bit. This P-switch area near the end, and I mostly think the biggest frustration, the biggest pain point is in the actual Bowser fight. Now, like I said, I was sort of leading up to the third person I watched play the level, and so I wrote about it in the, you know, if you saw the thing up top with the what's tonight thing. The problem what the player did is he tried it a bunch of times and then he gave up. Basically, he had no idea how close he was at any given time. He had no idea how many hits he had to make with these shells, which, if I'm right, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hits. That's 4 laps, basically, 4 crossings. You know, one way and then the other. But if you hit every shell, but to him it was very frustrating, and he just couldn't do it. So I do not like it that that's the case, considering that I feel like people are always killing a Koopa and just sending a Koopa. So not doing necessarily the 2 Koopa strategy that would save time, because it's a little bit challenging to do that. Even I can't do it every time, sending 2 Koopas. Right. And that can make it go very long as a result. And yeah, I'm just worried, because this is the last level in the 7th world of my super world, not the last world. You know, we still got the world after it, bonus biome, that players will have to get to. And to get to that place, they have to, you know, beat this level. So I want to make it such that it's not so frustrating that they just give up. With that in mind, let's just run through the first phase of the Bowser fight and just go point by point, bit by bit. Oh, that's kind of fun. How would we just raise... I'm gonna raise this back. I kind of liked it back up there. It's a little bit more challenging like that, actually. Let's do this. Oh, you know what? When you're like climbing the vine, by the time you're jumping off the vine, the mushroom is like barely visible. Actually, I think it's better like this. Though, do put the coin trail higher. And maybe make the vines go higher as well. Yeah, let's try that. I like to say when I'm making levels, I like to say, let's try that on for size. Oh, that was kind of weird. Stay down there. That's what I think. And we'll lower these boos as well. Again, they're not needed for, like, their musical capabilities, so they can just be, you know, not that high, kind of for flavor. Quality is better. This is too high. You can, yeah, let's... And even, like, with that, it's kind of above where you actually jump from on the vine. Let's lower this again to here. See how that looks like. That's good. Okay, you know what? That's perfect. That all feels good to me. Okay. With the outside stuff sort of squared away a bit. Yee. With the outside stuff squared away a bit, let's focus now on the inside stuff. And section by section, let's just go section by section to say, like, didn't see any problem with this first floor. This second floor works great. I am wondering if I should tone down some of the boo wheels, who sort of were there just for flavor. You know, once I started and realized that, like, oh, these boo wheels actually, well, one, they can create music, which this whole area needs Bowser music. And two, they can, you know, serve as my, like, you know, as like a punishment for areas you're not supposed to go. And also maybe you can have areas like this where, you know, you can challenge yourself to get a thing. Once I realized all that, it just made sense to put down a whole bunch of them. But maybe I could tone it down a bit. So like here, for instance, do I need 3 of them here? Maybe 2 of them would suffice. Let's tone it down a bit. And also I'm gonna move this out to here. I was seeing players, like, finding it awkward to be, like, jump, you know, just a little bit to land on the tire. So let's do a small adjustment and move the tire out. You should put a helmet at the P-switch room. Yeah, that'd be a good place for it. I was sort of thinking, like, yeah, one more power up in this section, either a mushroom or a thing. How about you said a helmet, but what if? Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a mushroom, and let's put it high. How about a mushroom right there? And that sort of makes this section of vine have more of a point to it. Okay. So with that, you know, let's say you're here. Let's imagine that Bowser is here. He's not, by the way. It sort of makes it so that you have to jump up high like this to get it, and then if you're falling down, the boo wheel that you know is down there will be off camera. So you have to sort of, you know, engage with a little bit of risk to get the mushroom. You know, you're sort of depriving yourself of a little bit of awareness to get the mushroom, which I think is a good idea. Another thought, let's raise the checkpoint a little bit. Is there any way I can... Oh, you know what? One thing I was noticing is that some people didn't quite get the P block thing immediately. They didn't realize that... Well, wait, no. If I do it like that, then... I kind of like having to go under Bowser here. You know, if Bowser is up here, you have to go below him, like, through here. Right? And I kind of like that. I was thinking that maybe you could have it so that you have to return here and then go through a P switch on the floor. And that those P switches would be very hot, very easy to, like, find. The shellman is really important for protecting against Bowser. I know this. That is true. That's a good point. It is a very valuable thing. I just feel like a mushroom would be easier to grab here, in particular. Maybe there could be a shell that's somewhere else. Like, no, these 3 sections are too early, and there's no good place over here for it. Unless I put it like here, and this is only too wide. I would have to make it 3 wide for that to work. Which I suppose I could do. I hope moving this fishbone doesn't break the music. How are we for music here? Where's the music? Okay. The music is on these boo wheels and also this whole fucking vine mess. Okay, there's no way the music will stop playing here. And also Bowser will be here, so you know, he'll cause the music to continue on. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do raise this. Add one thing here. Just gonna add... I'm worried if I overlap... Okay. It didn't disappear. Good, okay. I'm worried if I overlap it the wrong way, it might disappear. You know how it... You know how it do. But that was fine, so let's just go with that. This'll make things a fair bit easier. And add, like, 2 power-ups they can get along the way. But they have to use a little bit of skill to do it. That plat will be a little bit awkward. You know, being able to, like... But I don't think, you know, because this wall is just right here, I can't, like, hollow out more for this section. I don't think. Anyway. I think this is good. I think we like it. Yeah, you know what? If they land here, it will be a little weird, but not that weird, you know? They'll just fall the rest of the way. In fact, it'll be more harrowing if they land here and they're like, oh shit, Bowser's gonna get me. Let me fall, let me fall. The next tweak. Let me talk to the next tweak. I saw, oh yeah, I moved that Bowser. This is the second half Bowser, by the way. This is the respawn Bowser. When you start the level from the checkpoint, that's the Bowser that activates. And he doesn't activate when you're coming in from here, because the blue blocks prevent him from spawning. What I was seeing is, on the way back, multiple people were struggling with this bit here. They were jumping over Bowser, and hitting the spring and being sprung back into Bowser. And, you know, this doesn't happen as easily if you're big, actually, so let me do it when I'm small, which, you know, they were. Because it was a really hard level and they were late in the level. But they were jumping over Bowser and really just hugging the wall. Maybe not hugging the wall, but they... Like 3 or 4 times, they jumped and ran and hit the spring and bounced right into Bowser. Now, originally this spring was set up so that if Bowser was here, he would run into the spring and it would bounce him back, so that you could go down into this hole. That whole idea... Did I get rid of some of these things? I think I did. Nah, I guess I didn't, because I wouldn't have room for it. The whole idea of that was based on, this being the only opening, the only way to get into here. But that's not really the case anymore, so we can now safely remove that without any problem. So let's just do that, and I think that's just gonna make this a good deal nicer for the player. And if Bowser is just hanging out here, you're up here, you can jump over him pretty easily. In fact, let me open that up a little more so it's even easier to jump over him. In fact, I can just fully wall this off now. Why are there only... Fill up the whole hole. Why is it... This area seems a little bit devoid of Bowser things. Let me copy a few... Let me... I'm gonna take this guy, put him over here. Wait, no, the boo wheel is already over there. That's redundant. Let's see, can I do anything else here? You know what, I'll just raise this one a bit and put it over here. And that'll also help to, do the thing, you know, do the music. I can only add 2 more here without removing some of these, which, honestly, I don't think he can jump over this one. We can remove, like, enough to enough to just make a solid layer of them, and that'll cover. It doesn't seem to be a problem either way. Let me see. Eh. Well, actually, someone's covering it for the whole length of it. Whether it's those boos or one of these two guys down here. Maybe we're fine actually on sounds. And this is, you know, part of this is probably overkill. Honestly, like, Bowser's gonna be here. You're not gonna be able to jump and get 8 blocks away without landing on a Bowser generator or being in sight of one of these guys. But I feel like it's best to just be, you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry, basically, with these things. Okay, so I think that's an improvement there. I would also like to change this part up a bit. I'd like to add a way back. Basically, like, through these things, such that you could, basically that you could run, maybe not like that, maybe more like this. So you could jump like this and then like that and go through, something like that. This would make it so that you can't jump left or right, and sometimes a fire does end up here. You would have less recourse to get around it if I made this change. So let's not do that just like that. Instead, let's lower it and be a path like this. And if Bowser's like in this hole or something, you know, obviously you want to go over instead of through Bowser. But this'll provide an alternate path that's a little shorter, and then if you fall, you won't have to go like, I'm going all the way around. Now you could just be like, well, first off, you can be like, you can jump up to here. You know, you can just jump from here to here to here if you fall in the hole. But secondly, you can go around. Is there actually any point to that? If it's like this, Bowser's here, then you can't jump. Wait, what do you do if Bowser's here, even in the original? I've never seen that scenario, so I guess I can't speak to it. Huh. Let's try it out. That's end of the day, that's what you gotta do. You gotta try it out and see how it feels. So this path is unchanged. If you end up doing like this, that's how that'll work. End up going low, that's also now an option. Is there a way to put, like... This seems like a silly idea, but what if there was, like... Well, what if you could do like that? Oh, the blue blocks are not activated if I don't activate them. 1 second. This might seem like a self-defeating little path, like, wait. You know, all it does is sort of change the path forward versus back. Also, there's totally sections in there where you can have no sound effects be playing, so we gotta check that. For now, let me drag this Bowser up. I'll place him right there so we can test with him. That kind of felt cool. I guess that's what you do if he's above you like that. Maybe he'll jump down and you go under. Okay, that's much easier. This kind of... I think that's a little redundant. Certainly, I think this makes it so that falling into this this pit is less of an issue. I'm gonna need to cover this with Bowser's. That might be another issue here. Just, you know, like I showed you earlier, we're kind of nearing our limit as far as those go. Yeah, there we are. Still, I think we covered it. Let's play around with that for a minute and see if that actually, like, comes into play. Because if it doesn't, you know, and it's always better to go over, then what's the point of that, right? I'll start with nothing, you know. I get that's... Okay, so he ended up in the pit there. He kind of looks stuck. I mean, if he gets stuck, then... that kind of felt good. If he gets stuck there, then that's kind of weird, isn't it? I think most of the time he's gonna end up right around here. In my test, Bowser's always end up on the right-hand side, like most of the time somehow. Yeah, that looks awkward, the little pit that we've ended up creating. I think the two one-way gates must go in the same side. You mean like this? You mean like, so that they go one way but not the other way? Maybe. That does continue making this one like a frustrating place to fall into. Let's back off on these. We don't need these necessarily. The thing with this design as is, the as is design, the previous design, is that it's kind of hard to get out of this pit without going over here and then going over. That sort of feels like, you know, you jump into this pit expecting to find the way forward, and you're just like, ah, damn it. I guess I have to backtrack. And I can't have any semi-solids that go like this direction because Bowser might land on them, and then would get stuck when the blue plats turn to transparent. You know, everything has to be something that Bowser will fall through when you hit the switch. So, I guess one thing that is an option would be a ceiling like that. That'd be too easy. Then you just go under and you just run, and Bowser would have no recourse. That's kind of boring. I think that's kind of boring there. Reverse so that I get those things back. What if the one-way gate goes to the right side? I guess the way it is, the way to is hard, and the way back, the way to is easy, and the way back's the hard one. Which I kind of like. I kind of like it that way. I think the way back should be the hard part, and the way 2 should be the easy part. You know, you start with the easy and then you go hard. That's sort of how this goes. But I don't want it to be so hard that it's like frustrating in this final push. Also, I can't use any coins other than over here in this whole area because the P-switch, it would get weird, and also Bowser, he could get stuck on them if we weren't careful. What if? Yeah, that seems good, yes. Bowser can get stuck here, at which point you jump over him like this. If Bowser gets here, you climb really high and jump over him. Those boos are kind of a... Let's knock down some of the boos here. Just a little bit. These guys are partially responsible for our music, but, you know, down in that section of the level, not really using them for that. That one there. I'm gonna take that one out. And put that one there. Yeah, let's just reduce a little bit. Make it a little less chaotic. Oh, let me check. Are we still good on the music? Move that guy down. And let's see if the music stops as we fall. Nope. Okay, we're good on music. Is there anything else we could do for this area here? Make it flow a little better. Let's lower this just a bit. Lower this just a bit. If I add some more vines over here... Honestly, if we do that, like, getting the music up on that other section of vine would be a concern. I think these 2 vines are all we should use. Oh yeah, so if Bowser's here, you just go under him. That's why you have this whole accessible area down here with the 2 holes, so that you can go under. I definitely think you should be going over at this point in the level. Honestly, I want to raise this one up one. There we go. I think that's the right move. That makes it a downward progression, which I think is pretty ideal for this. What about this thing? Is this the shape of how it should be? Let's make it a little bit more... A little bit less unusual, maybe. And change that to make it also less unusual. Maybe make this one into like a slope like this, opposite to the way this one is. It's a little bit more of a thing getting from here to here, but... Okay, how about this? And then we make this one bigger. And I think that's good. Firebar? Suggest Mike with a reel. You couldn't fall through a firebar. It would be hard to add a firebar to this, you know, this design. I think that looks a little cleaner. And I think looking clean is definitely a good thing for this level. Makes it a little bit easier to, like, parse. maybe. And will be a little bit less intimidating, perhaps. Okay. I think we've covered, like, all the places the player could jump. Let me just make sure that, like... Yeah, the music doesn't stop as you, like, go through this area here. At no point do you get... I believe the way it works is if you get 8 squares away from something, from, like, the music source, it stops. I don't know if that's, like, you know... If it counts, like, down, like, one way and then the other, if it counts, like, you know, just the actual distance between you and the thing. But I guess just draw a circle, like, 8 around to get an idea. Okay, I think I like that. Let's go with that. That addresses that section. Hopefully the music works properly. Now then, next up we got this section here, and this will be the most difficult part to alter because it has a lot of moving parts that were set for very specific reasons. Let me just, like, for like, reference, for, like, just to, like, remind y'all what it looks like. Let's run through it. I say, before I forget that Bowser... I have to put back Bowser. Let me put back Bowser real fast. He's gonna be right there. I'll center him on the blue blocks above him. There we go. And basically, the idea is you go back and forth and hit at least one shell each time you go back and forth. You have to hit 8 shells right now. 8 shells, and that's just, you know, how much damage he takes. And also, you can see that even if you fuck up and lose your projectiles, or lose your helmet and your mushroom, there are additional ones under each of the 2 sides of the level. So you can see here's a shellmet you can grab. And by the way, in theory, you know, in theory, you could use the shellmets also to do damage to him. But just a little bit, and I guess it would only save you... I guess if you use, like, everyone in the level to, like, hit him, it would probably save you, like, a cycle or 2. You know, maybe, like, a cycle and a half. Which would be 2 cycles, considering. So yeah, you do your 8 hits. I've used up all the things right now. You do your 8 hits, then he dies. And, you know, sometimes you won't be able to hit 2 at once, but that's fine, so long as you keep moving. You go through one survival section where the lava's coming up. By the way, Mike's with a reel. Let me ask you something. Did anyone die in the lava section? Did anyone goof it up like that? I didn't see anything happen. That would be tragic if that were to happen. But in the 3 that I watched, I didn't see... The 3 that I gave the level to, I didn't see that happen. Which is, nice. They went to the one small pit. The one small pit? Do you mean someone fell into here? Or do you mean at the ending here? Did someone fall, like, one small pit? Do you mean here? I once in doing, like, a clear test at one point. The boss fight room. Ah, yes, I know what you mean. That's, you know what? That's intentional. It's intention. If you jump over this, you fall over here. That's intentionally a death. Earlier on, there was, like, ground there, and I found it kind of awkward to land there. Oh, that reminds me. It's possible for the big shell to like hit these gray blocks and break them, and that's weird. So let's cover them up and make it so that they cannot be broke. That said, I think one of the things I am looking at with this level are these pink things over here. These pink bouncy bounces. One of the problems with them is that Bowser likes to hang out on top of them, and that sucks. I would like to do something about that, if possible. The only problem is they're kind of hard to do that, since, you know, you see these shells here. These big shells, let me just get one up real fast. These big shells are set up such that if they miss Bowser, they hit these springs and are sprung up into the air. Which means that these 3 springs have to be below the pink tires in the current design. So we can't do something like, make this a treadmill, and if Bowser ends up on the treadmill, he'll be escorted off like, no, you're not allowed to be here on the thing. Also, I did some testing here. Let me grab this Bowser again. I did some testing with these treadmills, and even if this was a viable solution, they don't affect Bowser when he's also standing on regular land. So I was thinking, though, maybe we could do something like this. Maybe we could raise the tires by 1, and then if Bowser ever got on them, he'd be shuffled off and clear the tire for your usage, like such. But that has other effects, like, oh, now we have to figure out, like, how these shells are gonna fucking manage it. One thought I had is that maybe... Okay, here's thought 1. With these guys here. How does this work? That's not helpful. I'm gonna grab a Koopa. Get away, Bowser. Back off. Okay, oh, also I'll save, because we've made a lot of revisions. It's good to save now that we're in the... onto the final boss fight. Okay, so that doesn't, like, bounce as special. The reason why I need to go up sometimes... The reason why I need this to go up sometimes... is because... Oh, you know what? Let's replace this by... We'll put some gray blocks there, actually. That'll be good. The reason why I need them to go up sometimes is that Bowser could be... Bowser could be up here. So if the shellment was just going back and forth, sometimes you'd send a shell out and it would just fucking miss or collide into the next shell you sent, which isn't good. That's a bad. That's, you know, very much not what we want to happen. So we gotta have some sort of solution to that. Here's a thought. What if there was a spring? What if instead of this upward slope here under the thing? Actually, you kind of need the upward slope, don't you? Do you need the upward slope? Because it might go as low as that, but... Put it like this, and then let's do this. And then let's put, Whoops. go for that. Just a little bit of theming there, by the way. Let's see how this works. And if I'm right, that should make the shell, Whoops. Bowser should be small when he died in CP2 to make it more easy. A smaller Bowser makes the illusion a little bit less convincing, I think. To me, I think that's a no-go. I don't want to make it so that it's clearly a different Bowser. Oh, no, it hits this, if it's there. What if it's there, though? Also, can you, like, grab this? Hang on. Yeah, you can. That's fucked up. You can really grab it, huh? Get rid of this one, then. And you can still grab this one if you landed, like, here, so... And I don't even know if that one's, like, good enough to do it. Forgot about the illusion. Yeah. And also, I think that's a neat trick whenever someone sees that, like, oh, where'd that new Bowser come from? That kind of worked. Hey, look at that. That kind of worked. I haven't used... Oh, I have used springs in the level. You know what? What sound effect does a note block use for a shell? Also, maybe like a hole here would be cool. We can add a pit here. And that kind of makes it more like a bridge, you know, makes it a little more perilous feeling if there's like a hole between these two tires. Also, I will note that this is now one higher, so I think we should raise the hole in the thing a little bit as well. Just a little bit, just by one tile. And that will actually make it easier to jump off the vines into the hole. So that should also make things a mite bit easier as well. Let me try that on. That works. That feels good. That works and it feels good. Yeah, those are my two criteria. The last... Okay, so I think this will work for as far as, like, changing it just a bit. Wait, actually, I have to test to see that it hits. Oh, that one didn't work. The spring worked, but the thing did not. Also need to be careful because I don't want the shell to hit this thing, which generates music for the level. Maybe I just have to take this one back a bit. Just like, you know... Just like limit it a bit. Seriously? Well, I did put this... Let me remove that and see it again. What? The first one worked. The second one did... The first one didn't work. The second one did. Also, yeah, it's kind of a bell sound, not... I was kind of hoping for, like, a drum. I was kind of hoping for, like, a drum beat there from that. I could raise this also. Or lower it accordingly. How about we just do the same pattern as original, like this, but with a note block on the end. It kind of looks a little awkward, but whatever. Okay. We definitely see the downside, though, which is that, you know, let's say that happens. You know, fuck. It's a good solution, but if it misses, Bowser, and, like, Bowser does some juking like that, that shell is just spent. It's just useless. Unless there was additional ones, like at the end. It kind of seems weird, though. In that case, we could take this out, even. Would that work, or will that not work? Let's see. Let's find out if this would even work. And also, I think it's kind of awkward looking. You know what I mean? I don't know that I like it. Okay, it looks like it does deliver it up. It does deliver it up. One thing we could do then is like hide this in the wall partially and then put that under there, and then it wouldn't be accessible to the player at all. Yeah, let's keep a wall here. Let's keep a wall and do like this. Bowser will be able to get, like, somewhat close to this. Somewhat close, but not all the way. But he won't be able to get, like, up on it. Also, let's just test and see if a trampoline will do the trick. No, you could do some weird stuff if you grab the trampoline. Bowser is really good in the final boss room with good attacks. Yeah, he is strong. He is strong to contend with. That is true. That's always been there, so that's... Oh, you know what? I make this longer. This is originally 4 long. Okay, let's try this. This will make more sense on the way back. Oh, I'll also have to remove that one guy. So now... Wait, what? That kind of felt awkward. Wasn't it like one lower originally? What the fuck? Why does that feel more awkward? Maybe that's just a getting used to it thing, you know? Maybe I just have to get used to where it is. Let me move this guy back up here. Yeah, make this here. And yeah, we'll add a spring there that will launch a shell that goes through there, and that'll hit a Bowser that's high, and then it'll come back this way on the way back, And it'll hit this and it'll be bounced back up into the air. And so forth, so forth. Alright. I think it's kind of unfortunate that these things have to be here for, like, they kind of get in the way of the aesthetics of the level. But, you know, that is a small sacrifice for a fight that works a little bit better. And yeah, Bowser will be less likely to stay on the thing. He will, at the very least. Wait, will he be sprung up by the note block? If he does, that's a problem, and we need to use springs instead. Then. Ah! Okay. So it's worth noting that the 3 springs that we used to have didn't affect Bowser because he couldn't get to them through the semi-solids. But the springs, that's making him a little bit jumpy, isn't it? I mean that if he, like, goes back, he's gonna actually be more likely to be on the tire because he's gonna find himself in a loop where he keeps on putting himself back onto the tire. God fucking damn it. Oh, back to the drawing board. Is this good enough to make the things bounce? I would have to contain... I can't do it on the other side without redesigning this whole area. This whole, like, final rush area. Fuck. Fucking goddamn it. Unless he's sort of blocked off from landing on it through, like, a semi-solid like this. But then he's not going to be affected by the treadmill in that case. Unless that block was 1 higher. Which, yeah, I don't think it can be. If it's here, can you still bounce on the... Nope, you hit the treadmill. It cannot be there. What if it's here? Then well, 1, you'll hit the treadmill. There's even more of the treadmill that's outside of the thing now. And also... The note block isn't exposed anymore. I do like this if possible, though. With the treadmill being kind of at an angle like that. I think it looks better. Shit. Fuck. I could have it so that the spring is like on a let's say there's springs that are like embedded into the floor like this. Here's a question. Do they affect Bowser? Do they affect Mario? Do they affect the shells? Let's just run through all these possibilities real fast. Does not affect Bowser, does not affect Mario. Does it affect the shells? Well, I didn't find out because Bowser was there. Get out of here, Bowser. Okay, let's check this.
Let's go. Let's go.
Shells, let's go. No, it doesn't affect them. Spring, you know, does, but also they're gonna end up on the treadmill like that, in a weird loop where they go up and then slowly back down. That's gonna be weird. An alternative I thought was to have like a sideways spring on like a thing going like back and forth so that it would clear more area than just, you know, the wall. The previous design had it at the wall. Maybe sometimes Bowser just jumps. No, can't be it. That's worse. That's a worse solution because it ties up the goddamn tire. Anything else that can move Bowser? There's treadmills. There's springs. What else can move Bowser? A solid object like a bullet bill that could move Bowser. Moving platform. Moving platform can move Bowser. If Bowser's on a track, I don't know if you can even add Bowser. Yes, you can. I think you can add Bowser to a track. If he was on a track, that could move him. Moving blocks, that could move Bowser. Sideways spring. Oh, jeez. Kind of at a loss for what I could do here. What can... Shit. Not a lot of options. Yeah. You want to clear Bowser off the thing. We either have to give up the... Okay, here's what I think. End of the day, when you send a shell off, it has to hit. And if the only way to reliably do that is with trampolines, and that's just how it is. We gotta have trampolines. Also, I was kind of liking the way it felt before, honestly, before we move this up. Still kind of awkward to jump from, like, the vines into the hole. You know, it is a gap that is, like, most natural with, going from using the tire. But, I don't know, raising it by 1 didn't actually make it feel any better for going over. I guess if you wanted it to be a go-over option, you need, like, a higher hole. Which is an option. The only thing about these holes that you have to keep in mind is they need to be high enough where Bowser cannot get in them. You know, they have to be a Bowser keep out field. Wait. I just need to keep Bowser out. I can use semi-solids. Wait, no. No. Okay, wait a minute. If I do like... it has to be high enough so that the shell can get through. Oops. This would be awkward to jump around, though. If you're, like, trying to do this. That actually isn't a perfect solution either. And if it's higher than, you know, to jump under it, that's also weird. Okay, you know what? I thought I had it there, and then I thought about it for 2 seconds and was like, wait. That's not gonna work. Okay. Okay. You know, that's why it's important to try things out. And, you know, think for 2 seconds. You know? Okay, we still do need to block this off so that those things can't be grabbed. That said, let me see if this works. Oh. Those can't hit the springs as is. Okay, I'll remove that and I'll put a semi-solid right there, so you'll have no way of getting down into the thing and getting that, a claw. A swinging claw would be a decent idea. The only thing about that is I haven't really built any of the level around that idea. You know, nothing in the level has sets up swinging claws. And I do like in a level if I can, you know, establish an idea before you're tested on it, you know? You know what I mean? I think that that is just like emblematic of good, clean design, you know? Let's go. Let's try it out with these. There's almost no fucking way they'll be any good, considering you'll have to jump clear over a 4-block barrier to do any damage to Bowser, but let's just like confirm that this is as bad as I'm thinking it is. Well, it does work, technically. And it does keep Bowser off the thing. This is kind of pathetic, Bowser. Just jumping in place, unable to do shit. That's kind of goofy. And that's kind of goofy, too. Yeah, I would describe this solution as very goofy. Very goofy. It works! And if Bowser jumps over the wall, he'll hit the spring and that will counter him. But they also counter me, these walls. You know, they kind of get in my way just as much as they're getting in its way. Oh, also, the shell loop is no longer like, the shell can hit you down here now because because it bounces off the things. Yeah, that's not gonna be it. He's just jumping like Bowser Jr. I guess, yeah. Seesaws? No. What can I use? A moving trampoline like this, there's issues, because one, what if he lands on it? Then he'd be on a moving trampoline, and two, we'd have to raise this one to make it work, which we could do, but I'm thinking about it. I just don't want to do that. Could also be a low barrier rather than a high barrier, but then the shells are gonna get trapped in this little kill zone. Then you don't want that. What if, here's a dumb idea. What if there was a... No, that's a terrible... That doesn't even help. What am I thinking? That doesn't even help at all. What the fuck does that do? That just makes it so that Bowser can't get out of this area. He jumps over here. He could be here. He ends up in the middle. He'll end up stuck there until he jumps out. That ain't it. Maybe we just have to accept the weird behavior. Maybe instead we could just make these vines into a bigger space so that if he does get weird, you can at least get around him, you know? And maybe add like a more like this, maybe. That way there's a bigger space of vines to climb on over here. And maybe if you're like looking to jump directly from there to there, it might be a little easier to manage with more space on the vines. It doesn't really help, it just makes it look easier. I'll make it one, you know what? We'll do like a little bit of that direction, but not a lot. Just a little bit. Kind of looks nicer if they're all the same height. Bowser always jumps when we are on a vine. Is that true? I've never noticed this behavior of him. Let me see. He did just jump. Gonna jump again? He does, maybe he does just habitually jump. Maybe that's more what's going on rather than it being something magic. By the way, in this area the sound is controlled by these guys who spawn up here. So that's why it's not playing right now. It's not a glitch. Don't worry about it. What can we do to get Bowser? Yeah, nothing's really coming to mind as far as like ways to control Bowser any more than what I've done. There could be like another set of springs like here, like closer to the maybe there could be like a set of springs. Maybe we could do this. Maybe raise this. And then put this here. So that Bowser gets sprung away faster if he's hanging out here. That way the springs would get cleared a little faster than they would otherwise. And we can raise this one again. This will not be the biggest adjustment, but it should be enough such that we should see a difference. And also, because there's... Wait, will the shell work with that? Does it need two spaces to fall before it will actually jump off? Jump up. Oh, well, fuck. Don't spawn for a bit, Bowser. Don't spawn. Let me try this. Yeah, I'm thinking not as well. I had to make the room for a reason. Wait, that... don't think it will. Let me try from this side. I mean, in case it makes a difference, it doesn't. Oh, I forgot I still have this test Koopa here. Yeah, it's totally not gonna start to fall yet. I'd have to move the whole one over. Which I suppose is possible. But it'd be a really awkward looking bridge once you saw it without the... And I need the... It'd be a really awkward looking bridge. Slope? Slope, huh? I don't think that would make it less. Ooh. I think I might know what you mean. You mean like if this was on a slope? To raise this weight. No, that would overlap with the spring. That can't, yeah. That won't work. But let's check it to make sure. Yeah, it's just not... And we can't raise it by 1 because then the spring is where the slope is. Not a bad idea having it be, like, partially off the ground, you know? But it just doesn't quite work like that. Maybe we have to just accept that, you know, without overhauling this area, like, entirely, we can't make it so that Bowser stays clear of the things. You know, stays clear of the guys. Also, let me try it out again with this height. I don't know, maybe I'm used to the other jump, but this slightly higher hole feels even more awkward to me. From the vine, I mean. I think I like it lower. I think I like a lower hole. Track with sideways springs. Yeah, I did consider that, but it does make it a little random, doesn't it? Like whether or not... Let's say you had this here. You know, whether or not the shell bounces. Whether or not the shell bounces off these guys here becomes RNG, which I think is bad. I think we ought to not have RNG if we can help it. Try this again from this side, because I already had this test guy set up. See? RNG. Sometimes it'll go sideways, sometimes it'll go up. And, you know, if you send 2 down to shoot, it's not going to be reliable that they hit Bowser. I think this is just going to be, right here, the cleanest design that we can hope for. You know, Obviously, the Bowser is going to be a problem. But also, just nearly equally as obviously, I just don't see anything we can necessarily do about it. Without breaking other parts of the level or adding a thing that Bowser himself can jump on, which is bad. You know, Bowser jumping on a thing, that's the last thing we want. Damn. And like a semi-solid like here or something would also block the shells. You know, would block the shells from going across and hitting the spring, so we can't do like a low semi-solid to keep them like bound or something. Any blockers like this affect the shells just as much as they affect Bowser, which is no good at all. Very, very unfortunate. And also they make for an awkward space to get through. Going through my options one last time here. I think the final Bowser fight is fine. Not really annoying. When I saw streamers playing it, Bowser was doing a long jump and then the player couldn't even move and took 2 damage. Yeah, that's totally a thing. If they get stuck in this corner here and Bowser is just like ramming against them, then that sucks for the player. That's part of what that would fix if Bowser was just like shuffled off by like a conveyor. That would prevent the thing. Can't just have a conveyor here, can we? No, also that wouldn't work for the thing. That wouldn't work for the shells. Would block it and they would just bounce off, right? Let me check. Let's check what happens if you do like this. For the shells, anyway. Oh, Bowser, get out of here. Okay, you know what? Bowser, don't get out of here. Just go into a wall real fast while I try this out. Oh, also the... Put that aside for now. So it's not on the trampoline. Okay, what happens with... Okay, that's weird. Bad place to put a trampoline. Let's just delete it. Well... That works. Does that work? Let's try this real fast. Well, not quite. You end up getting some really weird behavior with the treadmill if it's that close, but take it back by 1 and lower it a bit and try it again. Wait, what happened there? Maybe it only works at like certain speeds. Also, the thing we have to ask is this any more effective at getting the player out of a jam? Out of, like, a Bowser fucking them up in a corner situation as just the existing spring solution does. Okay, so it does go back and forth if you do it like this. Let's see how Bowser behaves in this circumstance. Also, let's raise the pinks by 1. Because I don't want them to be able to land on the player to be able to land on the things. I think that would be weird. Try to make these mirrored. Okay. Also, it could be at an angle. Could be, okay, let's, bring Bowser back. Say he's here. So, there will be more room to maneuver. But also, there's, you know, once he falls off, it doesn't really clear that much room for Mario. In fact, barely any. Like, next to no room, actually. Jeez, I hate to say it. What if it's pulls it towards him, pulls it towards the wall, but there's a spring on the wall, and that spring will bounce Bowser back and clear him off it. Ooh. This is getting in the way. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's just that you need the spring to be... How about that? Okay. Question. If it's one lower, does it work? If we could do that, then we wouldn't have to modify the length of the previous area. Well, the springs work. I think that the conveyor does, though. Okay. Raise these coins by 1. They're kind of fine the way they are, even if the thing is 1 higher. This can be 1 higher. I don't know, like, how awkward this jump is, you know, through the slightly higher hole. If it's, like, more awkward if I'm just more used to this particular height from playtesting. These judgments are hard to make. I'd like to think that a hole those slightly higher would be more natural for getting on the vine, getting to from the vine. Especially with, yeah, slightly higher vine like that. Okay, let's raise this up. What'd I do? I guess I raised that too high. Wait. Huh? Well, let's see if this works for Bowser corralling. No, that doesn't work for Bowser corralling. If it's this wide, Bowser might get through. I mean, I don't have any experimental evidence to say that, but oh! Okay, told you! Okay, we now know 100% for sure if it's this wide, Bowser will get through. I guess Bowser can't get through a gap this small. I could even add, like, a wall here. Wait, no, that might mess up the spring. Can Bowser be corralled if that wall is there? No, that wall fucks it up just as much. That... Oh, shit. You know what it is? Might not be the wall, it might be... Okay, yeah, only the second spring is getting him. That's kind of awkward then. We need the... If the wall... You know, these semi-solids, they would have to cover up this spring, and that doesn't quite work then. Right? Oh, wow, it works! Go figure. The spring is essential for corralling Bowser. Does it still work? Oh, wow, I didn't know that you could be sprung. He could be sprung through the wall. I thought that that fucking thing's blocked that shit. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that either. You know, you find things out as you find things out, right? As you try things out. Okay, well, I think that's as good as it's getting. There was one more thing I was wondering that I was thinking about, which was, is there another thing I could, like, after, like, 3 laps or so, could I put something into the arena that makes it a little bit easier to beat Bowser? One idea I had... would be like a, Here's one idea I have. After 3 turns, maybe, and I'll put like a... Also, by the way, I need to remake this for the sound, there we go. Need to put these back here for, so that the soundtrack is going. I think they go like this. Here's what I was thinking. What if, like, if you survive, like, 3 rounds or something, survive 3 rounds, and you'll be delivered a, you know, I was about to say a, fuck, I forgot. I was about to say a Karibo's shoe, but this is Super Mario World, so no Karibo's shoe. You can only get a Yoshi. You can only get a Yoshi. That's not bad. What could you do with a Yoshi? Can you jump on him with a Yoshi? Honestly, not sure. Well, you can suck up his shit and, you know, spit it back. That's something. With Karibo's shoe, you'd be able to jump on him. You cannot jump on him with Yoshi. Okay. Red Yoshi? Big Yoshi? What if, after 3 rounds, and the way that we do that would be with, say... What if after 3 rounds a red Yoshi was delivered to the arena? So basically... And we could even show it to the player by... putting it in... By, like, having it so that you pass it. And you can see some of the mechanisms that'll be bringing it to you. Yeah, and that'll also make it so that a little more rewarding, perhaps. Okay, so let's see. It'll spawn when it's blue. Oh shit! Right, the sound effect guys. I forgot about those guys. They're dropping here, here, and here. So I gotta clear the way for them. Yeah, this'll be good. Red Yoshi will let you just like fireball him down if you go back and forth a couple of times. Okay, how about this? This'll allow it to get around the... can I propel it through the play space, or would that not work? Would you be able to intercept it? Oh, I kind of like... Let's slow it down a second. Oh wait, you can totally... It's cool if it just goes over your head like that, but you can totally just do this and you'd be able to get it. Whoops! Or you'd be able to kill your Yoshi. Yeah, that's not it, but see now. Okay, we need to start it off like here-ish. I don't like the way this rail looks, but alternatively, it could start off like here, below the field. And then, you know, as you were like running across this section, you could see that, like, oh, there's a Yoshi. You know, this would help. This would... Also, it's nice because it's sort of centered. In that this whole arena is sort of centered, like one panel, one tile to the right of the thing. Now, having this would give you a clear indicator of how long it could take. Now, how many cycles do you think is fair to do? We can remove, like, nah, they're fine. They're just there for atmosphere at this point. So one is the one on the left. This one would be the first lap. one here's the first lap. Get rid of this guy. Here's the second lap. And this would be the third lap. And that would drop it into the arena. I don't think it needs the you're not going to hit the on-offs fast enough where it wouldn't be deposited by the time you did it, so let's just make it that. And raise it by 1, so it's a little more obvious. Okay, let's just test and see how many phases it takes until it gets there. Oh, this will also be a live fire. Oh, fuck, I forgot to... Okay, you know what? Let's remove this. I think we got it. I think we got everything we need to make this perhaps a little more... I think we got everything we need here. And you can see the guy, you can see the thing. Beautiful. There it goes, that's working. I thought I removed! Thought I removed that guy. Okay, live fire, for real now. Let's try it out. I didn't want to add any real power-ups to this area, just because, you know. Okay, it already has 2 power-ups in the boss arena. And I think that is a lot for, you know, what is just a phase of a boss fight, you know. I want it to be a challenge. I do want you to have a limited supply of the good shit. I think 1 shelmet, 1 mushroom is fair. It actually kind of feels good to jump from the middle platform now. Go. I think the egg should be deposited, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it takes 5 additional shots to do it at that point. When he appears. Heard he nerfed it twice? Yeah. I think that felt really good. I mean, it did take a lot of hits for Yoshi to kill him. It did take a lot of hits for Yoshi to kill him. Honestly, at that point, you might as well go get that last Koopa and just do that. Because that honestly might be faster. But I feel like knowing that Yoshi is coming is going to make players a little bit happier, maybe, to go back and forth, knowing like, okay, only so many times and then I get Yoshi. Oh, and also, if they fuck up, you know, say they only do 1ers. Say they only do 1ers, this whole sequence will be... Let's just test and see if... Let's just test the... Under the... Saying, like... I was about to say... saying I only get 1, but... Okay, seriously though, let's test only getting 1. And see how many shots of the Yoshis that it takes. I think a Yoshi fireball is not that strong, so it will take a lot of hits to do it the Yoshi way. But at the very least, it's... Okay, get rid of that. Let's see if someone only does oneers. Yikes! Okay. And if someone does like some uses their shellmets to do damage to Bowser, it'll take even fewer shots. I just said I was gonna do oneers. Okay. I missed one. Can I... Okay, here's the thought. Can I also deliver a fire flower at the same time in order to make it a triple shot rather than a single shot? Let's do that. Yeah, let's deliver a fire flower at the same time. And that will be a surprise. That will not be... That part will not be, so... The way we'll do that is, wait, it's below. Where's this guy? Yes. Okay, we'll do it like this. Put a fire flower here. Wait, no, that won't spawn if you're coming from the checkpoint. That's no good. Okay, you know what? There we go. There we go. That works. Sync them up if we can. How about if they're at the right? Will they look more synced up then? I guess there's some logic to, like, which one goes above. Based upon, I don't know what. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Yeah, I think this is gonna be good now. Oh, let's try it with Bowser, okay? I feel like anyone who gets really exhausted... Okay, now this time the Yoshi is on top, but whatever. Go figure. There must be some logic to it, but I don't know it. Yikes! That still kind of sucks! So you have to go back, return trip once. And then... let's fuck him up. Yeah, that feels pretty good. I kind of like that. Okay. Oh, okay. I think we improved the battle. Made it a little easier, but it's no less cool. It just changes the last hit from being, you know, only having to... The last hit was kind of awkward to begin with. If you did everything optimally and did 2 shells each time, there would be 1 extra shell that you would have to avoid when going to the door, which isn't ideal. Now you'll do it with Yoshi and like with Fire Mario Yoshi, which will be pretty sick. And also it means that if you are not optimal, you just have to use Yoshi a little longer, you know? Basically, I believe for every shell you hit, you'll have to do, like, 2 full Yoshi blasts at him, which I think that's more than fair. Woo! Okay. And also, knowing that the Yoshi is coming, I think will help morale, you know? And you'll know that, like, oh, I'm not just up to the mercy of how much health Bowser has. I will also, at some point, if I continue edits, get some sort of a mercy which I think that'll help. My only question now is this actually good? Is this actually doing it for us? Might be worth moving this back. You know what? I think we won't move it back, but we'll make a little extra room. And you know what? It actually can be a, with the current design of it, it can be a note block. If Bowser jumps off it, he'll just land on this, and this will bounce him back to the middle. Oh shit! We actually fixed the problem without noticing it. Without noticing that we fixed the problem that we had earlier. Oh, this is nice. Actually, I think this will work. Yeah, 2 hits, it feels like the right number. Exactly, exactly. That too. I think this'll work. And we can just make some more of this into like this shit. Just grab the block. Oh wait, I can't draw here without getting rid of the background. Okay, I'm gonna move this down and then go and that looks good. I kind of want this area to be a little more gray block than the rest of the areas because my headcanon is that the gray blocks are sort of like what happens when the lava interacts with the rest of the castle. You know, the castle is sort of built of actual bricks, whereas this is like the raw stone or whatever. You know, the igneous rock. Should go all the way down. So should this. Okay, let me try this out real fast. I think Bowser's going to... You're gonna have more clearance here on the pink guys. And this should work as far as the other guys go, too. So that should be good, right? Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, the shell does end up doing like a whole loop and going under and then over. Anything we can do about that? Oh, also move that back down. Anything we can do about that? I don't think so. Not unless there was like a semi-solid like here or something. That would make it so that it just... Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that still does loops. No change. He'll just do loops in a different way now. In fact, honestly, you could look at this and say it's better, because now it'll do, like, above and then below. And also, since you have Yoshi to finish, you're never going to have a situation where... Or at the very least, it's going to be less normal to have a situation where you just have extra red shells at the end, because you're probably going to use Yoshi. Or the red flower. Or the red flower. The fire flower. Jeez, where's my head at? I think that's good. I think that's the level. Let me make sure that everything is where it should be. Bowser's good. Is there anything I can do here to clue the player in as for what they're doing with the P blocks? Ooh, you know what? Just... This is unnecessary, but put a bunch of P blocks here into the wall. That might help to sort of convey convey it. It's totally pointless since it's already blocked off. Well, actually, it's not. Let me block it off now. I'll block it off now. And leave a gap such that you could get back in if you wanted. But, basically, I'm gonna make it so that those P blocks are there. An arrow. I only use, this is silly, I know, but I only use arrows for, in my levels, I only use the arrows for the near the end of the level. So I put an arrow here. I use them in like the Donkey Kong Country 1 / Super Mario World style. That is the only way I will use official arrows. For anything else, any other sort of indicators, I use coin arrows. I know that is a silly thing, and I can't use coins here because of the P switch. Because the P, they would get in the way. I know that's a silly thing, but the rest of the Super World is like that. I cannot change that at the last second. You know, in the last level of World 7. That's just not how it can go. You know, it'd be weird. Do an arrow with P blocks. I can't really do anything that way with the P... I can't really put these P blocks here because what happens if Bowser gets stuck on them when, or what happens if they rematerialize while Bowser's on top of them? That would kill Bowser, and you don't want that. That would be a bug if that were to happen. You know, that's also why this is here, over here, to make sure Bowser can't get in the hole and be on top of those P blocks while they rematerialize. You know, a lot of potential for bugs with these platforms if they don't work quite as expected. That's also why we can't do anything with P blocks as far as like, oh, have a path here that's P blocks on. When the P blocks are on, maybe this is blocked. When the P blocks are off, maybe this is blocked instead. Because Bowser could get hung up on all that stuff while he's falling down. I think this is good. These guys are fine. These guys are fine up here. No changes required for these particular boos. I can reel this back in a bit. Let's just make it 3 over here, and they'll be like at a regular interval too. That'll be fine. I think we're good. I think this is it. I think this is the level. Let me just go ahead and save. I see that we're 2.5 hours in. Jeez, time flew, huh? Yeah, so like I said, oh, it kind of looks weird on the thumbnail. The new boo formation. Weirder than the original, perhaps. Okay, let me line everything up. That looks good to me. About how the thumbnail was in the original. I'll raise that guy up 1. How about that? And let's see, put this here. And lower it a bit. And there it is. By the way, that's a special Bowser who is not actually spawned, because you can see that he's blocked by the red block while you're at this part of the level. So that is, strictly speaking, thumbnail Bowser. Only for the thumbnail. Okay. So, sum up the changes in the first half. We've been kind of focusing in on the second half. I changed this so that... Well, now this guy's a little less avoidable, too. So that you have to go up and then down a little bit. I think that works good. And also makes it so that you're introduced to those guys. And you know that they're, you know, that they mean business. I'm kind of happy with all these boos, even though they're not really needed. I feel like the boos sort of give up, kind of work with the storm part of the level. You know, the the storm imagery and make it like, you know, I sort of, this in the description, just describe swirling clouds. And what are boos but swirling clouds? They're kind of similar. I think we're happy there. The only thing I wonder is if there's a way to introduce a falling platform earlier. Like, maybe there could be a falling platform that you land on over here. Like a falling platform here or something. And then you have to jump over to there. How does that feel? Let me try. And then the time when you hit the thing and you fall into the platform. No, that's too much, especially with the boos below. No, that's not it. Not it. Wrong. Incorrect. Nope. Doesn't feel good. Felt better before. And hopefully the player will be clued in such that they know they can just bounce. They can just do their way through it. Also, let's move this one back one. And down a couple. How about there? That's good. Still a threat, but a little less of one, I think. I could put like a semi-solid... Maybe just having it here gives you enough time to react. Just, it's a fair bit higher than it once was. Maybe that'll be good enough. Either that or I could put one here. That kind of feels mean, honestly. And lower these as well so that the player has to... Let's lower this. I'm gonna do some more revisions on this part of the level, don't mind me. You know how it is. Sometimes you're just like, okay, I got ideas. I don't need the ceiling anymore. The ceiling is weird. Get rid of it. Don't need the ceiling, so let's just get rid of that. Make it high enough where you're never gonna run into it and just have it be like this. There we go. That's, I think, good. Right. There we go. Rule of 3. Can there be 3 of them in this pit? Now, have 2 of them be right next to each other so that there's, like, literally no way around them. Nah, 2 is good. 2 is fine. That slowdown does sort of make it so that she's, like, prone to send a thing your way, which would be annoying since you wouldn't have the helmet. Try this again. Yeah, that's not good. Raise her by 1. And then she won't be able to fire under the thing. I thought. Making this section a little slower means that she's gonna be ready to go a little faster. That's kind of awkward. Kind of awkward there. Instead, let's make it a different thing. Instead of jumping over some booze here, I'll have another... I'll have another semi-solid here, and this will sort of set up the next falling area. And we'll just do clouds. Just have you some clouds you can jump on here. Okay, let's try this out. Whoa! Lower that so that that guy doesn't get out. Also, how did that guy end up there? That guy should be one higher. Right, I undid a bunch of stuff and that guy got screwed up in the process, didn't he? Fucking... Okay, you know what? Get rid of this. We need to encourage the player to walk. To go low through this. So instead, this will be a longer ship. With a deck that sort of bends up like this. That. Let's put the planks somewhere in the middle like so. How does that look? Square it off a little bit at the end. Like such. Actually, make a square, but have it so that it comes up like so near the front of it. That looks weird. Get rid of that. And yeah, that looks fine. Make this more like there. And let's add another boo wheel up here. Such that you're sort of encouraged to stay close to the ground. In fact, we'll add some coins on the ground as sort of encourage landing there. All right. That'll do. Let's try it out. Take out off the shelmet because you won't have it at this point in the level. Okay, and this makes it clear if the player didn't know that they can dodge the things. You know what? I'll just add one. No, I won't. This is fine. If they fall like this, that's on them. User error. I still kind of like... I liked it more when the boo wheel... How's the boo wheel's timing? I guess that's the question I have right now. Is the boo wheel like the way it was before, where it was always... where it was always, like, open when you got there? Mostly. Okay, you know what actually I can do? Let's make this thin. Make this, like, real thin. Make it, like, too thin. And then move this whole thing over. And make this fall a really thin area. So again, this will basically just serve as a little tutorial for those who don't know about the properties of these dudes. New level looks clean, says Mike is real. Thank you. I agree. I feel like it's quite promising. Let me fill up this with this. Yeah, add like a box here for the background, so you can't see the storm from you know. Make this go one lower. We'll still have the one ways here. We'll add like take off this. We can re-shorten this now. It doesn't have to be that big. How short was it originally? Not that much longer than, like, say, yay. Okay, add this here. I think that's good. Wait, I meant to have this be a gap of 3. I can make this one thinner. Hang on. So you don't need to do that at all. Just need to do this. There's kind of no challenge to it, but whatever, man. It's just make there one of them. Just one fishbones to bounce off. But whatever, that's fine. And let's make this a little interesting. Add a little bit of a odd shape to it. All right. That's more like there. More like there. In fact, just to make this a little shorter. I'm not sure how short it was before. Okay, try that again. Still sending the thing down. Dang, I thought it would this. She's still sending her first volley. You know what? We can fix this another way. Just have her spawn a little later. She spawns a little later. She there's some stuff there. Perfect. That'll do. And we can leave this part as it was originally. Mostly. Now, I kind of like having to go under it. Having to be, like, cautious of the booze up there. It's a good lesson to teach here early in the level. Cautious of these damn boos. Let's put a little bit of a coin field here, using the same pattern as in previous levels of this world. Just for a little bit of consistent flavor. Put it like here. Kind of in the path of the boo wheel. Just forward by one. And move this forward. Scooch. Okay, let's try this out. I believe this should work now. That boo wheel feel weird? Try that again. Changing this has altered the timing of the level a bit. You know what? There's no time to do a tutorial of for the guys there. Move that a little closer, just for... Doesn't need that to be that far. No, I liked it there. Really? I'm sorry, I'm getting all decisive. The tutorial is at the end. I know it is. That's kind of screwy. You know. You know what? I like it. I like that thing there. And you know what? This is working to spec now. The only thing I have to ask now is like, what? Wait, why aren't there any... Add some coins right here. Some coins right in here to direct you to the thing. Perfect. Some coins... add some coins up here to direct you to here. And, a couple of coins up here, too. Make these just 3 coins up on the platform. Other than that, I think we're good. I think this is it. Okay. I'm not gonna do a clear check for it right now, because it just took 3 hours to do all the revisions and to like decide on everything. You know what? I should do a clear check, shouldn't I? I should do a clear check and I should upload it. With the difficulty as it is now, it'll probably only take me a couple of tries to do. So let's do it and hope we don't run into the thing that I usually run into when I'm doing clear checks, which is doubts. Doubts. I usually end up... I don't usually... Clear check time. Let's do it. I don't usually end up dying that often during my clear checks, but I do sometimes end up thinking like, you know, I thought this was a good design. I actually have changed my mind now. I've changed my mind about this design. Maybe it should be different. That was my fault right there. Don't. I deserve to get hit there. And, oh, my other rule for clear checking is that I get everything, every, like, optional collectible, and I do it, in a way that is, like, normal, but without making mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, I basically do things as a normal player would do, get them. I don't, like, don't stop for nothing or anything else, but, otherwise I just try my hardest. I think that first section is solid. It has more than enough power-ups for its difficulty, I think, and is fairly forgiving as for what it is. Here we have that one dry fishbone section, and by the way, fun fact, that section there was the first fishbones that got added to the level. Ooh, lucky. Those fish bones were the first ones that were added to the level, and the first ones that I tried out and said, like, oh, actually fish bones are a really good fit for this level. I remember why I lowered that originally. I just remembered why I lowered this, because there were some times when it was awkward to, like, jump down here and then jump back up. I'm gonna change this just a bit, actually, considering that I did change that to make this a little more smooth. I guess, actually, I could change it like this just as easily. Have this be a little higher. That would work just as well. Those boos, can they hit you while you're here? Let me check. If they can, that's weird. It does look like they can. They cannot. But it does look like they can, so let's just lower them by 1. And that 30 will be a little easier, I think, as a result, but... maybe I could do like that. Nah, that's weird. I think that's fine, though. Actually, I'm okay making it hard. There's a power-up right near it now. Leave it as is! We're leaving it as is. Wait. Actually, let's lower this by 1, and that'll be fine. There it is. There's the solution. Or... no, I can't move it. I'm sorry, I'm... like I said, this is exactly what I said would happen. I would get ambivalent and start second-guessing pieces of the design. That is how my clear checking goes. Oh, that works. That's good. That's really good, actually. Okay, there we go. That's it. That's how it's gonna go. I don't even need to test that. I'm happy with it. We can do another save. And then we will clear check for real. And I mean it this time. Okay, clear check for real this time. And then we'll do, like, a little bit of looking at the next... at 2 things. We'll look at some stuff. there's a couple things I want to look at, like, real fast. Specifically having to do with the revisions. You remember last week we were talking about, like, 5 revisions that I wanted to make, and that I made live? Well, first off, I did modify one of them very, very slightly. Want to look at the final version of that, just for the reference, just for those who are curious what that ended up looking like. I'm sorry, can we... Is there a way to have this rail not be so close to the other rails? It looks weird and distracting. Like, can I hide it up here or something?
Let's go.
One higher ought to do it.
Let's go.
There we go.
Let's go.
Like I said, I fucking get ambivalent, and this is why I usually don't stream clear checking. Because, if I have any like last minute thoughts, it's a very inconvenient of a process, you know? Have a good rest of the stream. Thanks for stopping by, Mike's is a real. I appreciate you being here and watching me do this this fucking work. This is what uploading a level is like. I'm sorry. It be like this sometimes, you know, just a lot of just shit. A lot of trial and error, you know. It was like here before, so maybe this will be fine.
Let's go.
It was fun seeing the evolution of a level. Yeah, I'll say like the VODs of these making streams do surprisingly well on YouTube. The YouTube VODs of them. You know, like nearly as well as the viewer level streams, which I guess makes sense considering that, you know, for those watching the archives, it's not like it's their levels being played or anything. With the camera, these aren't really relevant. We can leave those off. There doesn't have to be coins everywhere.
Let's go.
So, you know, I have been thinking with that in mind, like, oh, maybe more of these streams would make sense. You know, more just pure making streams. They wouldn't be perhaps as weird as I first thought when I was like putting these together and just being like, okay, you know, just a short bonus stream. I say a short bonus stream, we're 3 hours in. This level had perhaps more problems than I initially, you know, than I hoped. I mean, I knew it had a bunch of problems. That's why I didn't do it yesterday during my free time, because I was just like, oh, I maybe have like a half hour between like... I took a 3-mile walk yesterday. I walked for 3 miles, and after I got home, I was just really just tuckered out, really just tired, really just ready to like sit down and have a nice warm bath and, you know, otherwise loaf around. And I was just like, man, I do not have it in me to do what this level needs. And also, maybe it would be interesting content to just see this version come together and actually get clear checked and stuff. I would like to just show you a little bit of bonus biomes first level, Sunburn Sanctuary, and talk about some of the thoughts I have regarding that. But first I have to clear check this level. Clear checking for real this time. There were a bunch of false starts where I would start into it and then go like, oh, maybe this could be better. You're gonna hate me. Maybe this could be better. Hang on. How about I just make... It's kind of weird landing almost on the booze. Let's just make this connected. Yeah, let's just make this almost a tutorial Koopaling. I kind of like the shape of these as they are. Yeah. Portholes. Where does a porthole go, honestly? Should it be centered or not centered? You know what? What if it was like this, and it was all 1 over? And this would have to be one of these then. And move this 1 over. How does that feel? If you... Okay, the question is, what happens if you land and have to land here? How does that feel? That feels really bad. You know what the problem is? The problem isn't that you can fall to your death in a weird way. The problem is it's hard to get up if you've killed the guy. Just make this higher. Make this higher, too. But to compensate, make this shorter. Raise this up a bit.
Let's go.
And there, now you can jump from here to the top, though it's a little awkward. That is fine, I think. I like it. Okay, ship it. This is just what the process is like, you know, like... like I said, this is why I usually don't upload on stream. I get to a certain point, a certain number of tries in, where I just say, like, you know what, I'll sleep on it, and I just leave it for the next day. And, you know, the next day I might come back, do a couple more tweaks, and then do the clear and upload. But I think let's do the clear and upload now. If I have any more second thoughts, we'll leave that as is for now. And, you know, come back. And I'll do it on my own time. But, like, this is, like... Well, I think it's, like, 99... If it's not here yet, it's 99% of the way here. You know, it's 99% ready to go, and I'm, by and large, happy with it. And by the way, you don't have to kill these Koopalings at all. But I'm gonna kill them anyway for gratification. Eek. Just for fun, you know. And also, I do think that a player would naturally want to kill them all, just because that's kind of what you do when you see a Koopaling, right? I don't know. Feels like the natural thing for me. The other thing I always do when I do clear checks of levels is I make sure to get every 10 coin and such. You know, every 10 coin, and usually also, like, any extra lives. Though, I don't require myself to get extra lives. Those are like... I guess they're not considered part of the... I think that's a very well-placed power-up, by the way. Okay, turns out that that's... If Bowser is really close to there, the spring that used to spring him away actually did make a difference. We need to make this, we need to make ourselves some room to jump over Bowser if needed. Okay, that was just a minor change. I think other than that, the level's golden. That was just a small interaction that we hadn't actually literally tested for. Other than that... This will be the actual clear check. And if you're, like, watching the VOD later and I've, like, marked this with a chapter marker, the rest of them weren't avoided because I failed, but instead because I noticed something that I wanted to change and then went and changed it. Such is the process. And also the reason why I don't usually stream clear checks. It's just... Last time I did it, I was pretty sure that I was ready to go, at least for version 1. I'm a little less discerning on version 1 sometimes, just because, you know, there's sure to be a version 2. Right? At the very least, sometimes I feel like there's sure to be a version 2. And if there's more changes to make, I'd rather just, you know, get it out there, watch some other people play it, get some feedback, and then, you know, iterate from there. You know? I also sometimes do things like do playthroughs, do, like, runs with special stipulations, you know, like, oh, I'm playing as someone who would not ignore any coin, who would stop to collect every coin that they see, for instance, or like, oh, someone who doesn't use the run button, doesn't know that it's there, never runs, whatever the case may be. Not using any of those stipulations on this level, per se, for a simple reason. It's a final boss level. If the player doesn't know about running, sorry, you have to run to finish this level. I don't think that's, you know, cruel or nothing. It's just a basic requirement for doing this stage, you know? Okay. Pass over. I will say I am wondering one thing, which is that, aha! There's the Yoshi. Yoshi! No! Whoa! Okay, that's fine. You want to knock the Yoshi in the right direction or else it'll be difficult to get. There's nothing I can do about that. Maybe you could lure Bowser some. Oh, you know what? I've never tried this last section with Yoshi. It's the same as without. It's no different. Hey. You know what? Let's do it. Whatever. I was wondering if I should go back and add that section to the... One of the last sections, I was thinking about adding a passageway earlier, like below the stairs, going left to right. But I'm not sure, like, how many scenarios that would actually help. That would only help if the guy is on top of the thing. And I kind of want the player to use the tall vines in that case to get over him. Rather than, Oh, and by the way, we don't need to get all the power-ups on the second go. That's just how it goes. Like, a passageway through here was considered earlier on, a couple hours ago. I did get the 30. Did I get the 30? Might not have gotten the 30 on the... on the first clear. Whatever, man. I'm tired. The time will be probably perfectly... You know, will be good enough to give players an expectation of how long it might take them if they did it, like, really, really well. Yep. We missed one shell there, but it's fine. Now, every shell... I could also use this one. Every shell will be, like, 2 additional Yoshi blasts. Assuming you can get the fire flower and all. Yep. Perfect. I also moved the checkpoint up a little bit to make it more visible that you were coming up on the checkpoints. Initially, I did want the checkpoint, the presence of it, in the middle of a boss fight to be a surprise because it's really uncommon to have a checkpoint in the middle of a boss fight. But honestly, I think it's more encouraging if they can, if the player sees the checkpoint and they know that they're, like, you know, inches away from being able to relax a little bit. You know, I think that is genuinely a good thing, and something that should be something that the player should know ahead of time. Whew. It's another thing that can give them some confidence that they don't have to worry so much about their impending death. They will be able to do it, you know, so long as they keep at it. Okay, there's a whole fucking bunch of iteration on Ne'er-Do Nebula. Clear check complete. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to do before we uploaded it. First off, last time we did look at the... There are a bunch of revised levels. Levels that are being that were recently revised that I need to delete and re-upload. And last time I did look at the number of likes that they had, but I realized after that stream I didn't look at their comments. And it'd be good, I think, to look through their comments now before we delete the level so that we know what was lost. And let's look at this for Ne'er-Do before we do so. World record, nice, wow, good stuff. Okay. We're gonna delete it. Are we sure this is the final version? Yeah, I'm willing to commit. I was close to being ready to commit to the original one with just like a couple of changes. And this one is much improved. Yes, let's commit. So let's upload the revisions as well then. And then update the super world. Whole 9. Yes, okay. Here we go. Here we fucking go, folks. I just deleted Koopaverse 5. I also have to do Grave Gauntlet. Let's look at the comments for this. 31 likes, 7 comments. A drawing of some Goombas walking into a pit. Good stuff. Wow. Nice. So tough. Wow. Thank you all for the comments. It's time for those to go. The super world will be deleted. Yes, that's also the reason why I wanted to wait until everything was together. The super world will be taken down by this. The one that exists now. But we will be updating it shortly. This will also be the first time that, in ages, that levels have been deleted that weren't the most recent level. So, you know, they'll be out of order from here on out. Kind of sad, but also, I think it is worth it to make the super world as a whole better. Here is, 30 likes on Unmoored Minds 3 and 8 comments. Wow, yay, nice. A signature? A drawing of a shoe? I'm not sure what that is. I enjoyed it very much, says Jello Jelly. So creative and cool. Pretty creative. Good stuff. This is from, like, nearly a year ago. This one. Jeez, we have been making it at a very slow pace last year or so. Such that only, like, a world and a half is... only, like... This was like 8 levels ago. Okay. Unmoored Minds needs a very small revision. 55 likes and... what was that, 7 comments? 5? Cool idea. Wow. How? USA? No. Seriously. I think that means, like, Nano in that context means, like, USA like? This is like USA. If you attach... okay, this is something I learned from, I think it was Lingo Deer. Or Duolingo, I forget. If you attach na to something, like an adjective, if you use, like, nano after a thing, you're basically using an adjective as a noun, I think? Which is to say, like... wait, does that make sense? Okay, you know what? Maybe it doesn't make as much sense as I say it aloud as it did in my head. Wouldn't if USA like be like USA poi or something? It's like poi or something, or poi. Maybe nano. Whatever. It's Japanese. It's don't go down death. Okay, and also, hey, you know, if you're wondering why I wanted to make that revision to block up the bottom of the save room, it's because this comment, which was one of the first that I got, don't go down death. And you're probably, and like, fucking, hey, Dad Hal, you'll be glad to know this patch fixes that. There's no more pit there. It'll be obvious that you can't go down from there, that death awaits. Couple of more to delete for the sake of revisions. Postal Cup 5. It's kind of a rough set of levels where each of them needs a revision, but I will admit, several of them were just aesthetics. Like, Unmoored Minds 4 just had an aesthetic issue that was sort of unnoticed. Like a very small thing. Unmoored 1 just needed a checkpoint reworked a little bit. And Unmoored 3 needed a lot of issues. It is funny, though, that they're all in a row like this and really close together, the 5 that needed revisions. Maybe at the time, I say at the time, this was spanning like several months. Maybe I was distracted, I don't know. I guess, who knows, man. Coastal Cup 5, there's 81 likes on this one. That's quite a few. Let's just read what they say. Hard time, 20 seconds. That's right. On these levels in this world, I put part-time on each of the levels and had it be like, yeah, part-time, 20 seconds. Very nice idea. I'll be sure to check the other cups, the other levels of this world, he means. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Nice speed run. Thanks for playing, bro. Cool idea. Good stuff, good stuff. I hate bullet levels, Dad Hal says. Sorry, Dad Hal. Be careful. Where did I put the comment? The clear check part time. Was that at the start? I'll have to do that right after. Yeah, right at the start, little jump. I'll have to do that after I re-upload. The only change here is I added a bunch of Goombas to the part where it was a little bit sparse and it was easy to fall through and get to the other side of them. And the final change here is in a much earlier level, Smokestack Attack, at 103 likes, 15 comments. Let's read them. Now, this level had a soft lock, but it required the player to break open a wall with the clown car and climb inside the scenery. GG, good stuff, cool idea. Pissed, come here a minute. Good stuff, beat it, nice job. Here is more soft locks. Oh, we should check to make sure that we're covering all the soft locks. If there were, I think there was just 2 of the same kind. Yoshi died, that makes me sad. Test tube. It's a perfect example of a quality Mario Maker 2 level. Let me check to make sure that the soft lock comment, that we resolved all the soft lock comments there. Where are those comments? This part, I think, is golden. Someone died in that pit. What's that? What's on the Goomba? Yoshi died and that made me sad. Okay, cool. Not soft lock. No soft locks over there. Whoops. I meant to switch to the other. Sorry. It's been a long stream. Okay, so where were the soft locks? Here is more soft locks. Yes, okay, so soft lock here. That's been addressed. Anywhere else? You could go down here, but I put a guy here to kill you. That was my solution to that potential soft lock. You know, if you got out of the cart and dropped down here, there's just a guy who kills you. So it's not a soft lock, it's a... What's the word for a one that kills you? Guess there isn't one. Yeah, there's no... I don't think there's anywhere else you can crawl into a place where you cannot return or cannot die. I guess if you lose the clown car and you drop down, you can end up in a place where you have no choice but to die. But you always have the option to die. That's kind of goes without saying. I can't always restore you a clown car. By the way, don't look. Don't look! This is the part of the level you can't see. This is the part of the level the player never sees, so, you know, I don't have to cap these pipes. The player cannot see them, if you're wondering. I think we covered all the places where the soft locks were. We looked through all the comments, right? Yeah, perfect example of quality. Mario Maker, Yoshi died, test tube, Piranha Gang, here are more soft locks. Good stuff, pissed, come here a minute. Good stuff, GG. Okay. Goodbye, all those likes. Are we still above 15,000 or whatever? Yes, okay. well above. We were on our way to 16 even. Okay, so we haven't lost that much. Let's re-upload all of those now. Huh. I'm just thinking now, how am I gonna do the social? Like, I'm gonna share, like, whatever. We'll just upload them as is. I do on the Discord, I do have a channel that is just dedicated to posts for all my levels. I suppose I could just re-upload the... I don't suppose this is gonna change any of the clear check videos. Or not the clear check videos, the social videos that I share. Wait, that's not right. I don't need to play it, I just need to upload it. I'll think about that on my own time. Haha, you know, when I'm not streaming. Let's just hit upload. This is standard shooter. It's a flying level, so I think shooter is appropriate for this one. Standard shooter. Sorry if... I'll go through the levels at the end if you want to, like, jot down the codes, but, you know, again, down there's my maker code. You can find all 5 of them once they're up through that. Okay, the next one is Coastal Cup 5. We'll do the comments in a second. The part-time. This one is a standard short and sweet, right? I think standard short and sweet is what this one was. Shit, I should have taken note what they were classified as, tagged as, so that doesn't have to change. Phantasm Chasm. Is this one standard themed? I think this one is just standard themed. Standard themed. Okay, this one here, Bogus Boudoir. It is standard puzzle solving. It's the ghost house level of the super world. So it's got a lot of trickery in it. Jeez, it took a lot longer to do the revisions than I hoped, honestly. We gotta wrap it up a minute here. Not in a minute, but like soon. Okay, this is standard auto scroll. Where's that? There it is. This one sort of like was inspired by minecart levels. This one was. Okay. I'll have to jot down these things later, all these codes. Let me upload now. Finally, you know, I sort of went in order of oldest to latest in these revised levels, but finally the last one to go up is the Bowser's, is Koopaverse. There's the code for that one, which we just spent the entire rest of the stream, you know, doing. Oh my god. Let's get the world back up. Okay, let me just go ahead and make this real fast. Cold Ice Comet, Meteor Meltdown, Abyssal Asteroid. Yep, those are the right ones. And Koopaverse 5. Everything is where it should be. Let me check. So in this world, now there'll be a choice between going to Unmoored Mines 2 and Unmoored Mines 3. Unmoored Mines 3 is one of the hardest, is one of the longest levels in the game. and also requires a bit of puzzle solving, whereas Unborn Minds 2 is one of the hardest levels in the game, in the super world, and requires a little bit of patience to, like, not die sometimes. So, you know, the player will have a choice of which one they want to do, and they at least have to do one of them. If they're too impatient for one, you know, whether that's puzzle solving or hard difficulty, they just have to make that choice. There's been no other changes to any of the worlds in this release, in this version of the thing. I'm just gonna save it real fast. Save. Then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to save as... Wait, what was... Did it say... What was with the... There's only 8 worlds. Why was there a... World 8 is... Oh, right, because I haven't saved it. Right, okay. Once I save it, it'll be good. Okay, and now we can upload it. Go to WorldBot. And that should upload the super world. There you go, there's my maker code. It's also down there. Fresh and hot super world. Get it right off the presses. Ooh. That's all set up. Obviously all those new levels are fresh as and have no plays, have no likes yet. I would love it if y'all were to give them some attention, considering they're all starting from 0 and there's 6 of them all going up at once. I'm probably going to have to do some throw them around a little bit so that they get some of their traffic back, you know? And putting them all up at once, ooh, that's not gonna help. But for the sake of my super world, probably better to do it now than at the end of World 8, when everything else is coming in, and that would be a difficult time to do it, I think. Alright, we went 3.5 hours here, folks. We won't go that much longer, but I did want to just pop into the next level. And by the way, I have done these streams where I would do viewer levels sometimes at the end, but we've gone so long, let's just have this be the last thing. Let me show you what I have so far for Sunburn Sanctuary, and then, if we do another making stream sometime... I mean, honestly, at this point, it's probably best if I just start kicking it off and start working on it in my free time and doing the thing where I just show it off every Friday stream as it starts to evolve. But let me show you what the plan is. The plan is a platform level with Link where the sun will be a threat, and I've done some experimenting, I'll say. I've done some experimenting with blue plats, and also having a moving platform just going along the bottom as such. My main thought here for, design priorities is I want to make the sun into a foe, and one way I know that I can do that is if I keep the player at, this level. And then the sun will be dangerous because it'll pass through, you know, where you are on the screen if you're this low. That's sort of the messed up thing about the sun. You have to, like, stay within a very specific range for it to be dangerous. But it turns out, if you have a level based around riding a bullet bill launcher path, a bullet bill launcher raft like that, you can absolutely make him dangerous. You could absolutely do that. That ain't it, though.
Let's go.
One thing I am thinking with this level right now is that is a logistical thing. You know, I can only do one sun for each half of the level, each, you know, overworld, subworld. So how exactly am I going to do it with the, you know, first half of the level, second half of the level, like before the checkpoint, after the checkpoint? And my thought is I could have it so that, you know, the level starts you off in the middle. Like, let's say, I don't actually have it expanded all the way yet. Let's say the level starts you out, like around here. And then the first time you go left, and then after you come into the checkpoint, maybe the on-offs are in a different position, whatever the case may be, and it opens a path that takes you to the right instead. And the same sun will be spawned in when you start from you know, so long as you're starting from basically the same place, but you'll just get a different outcome. Maybe it'll be like P blocks or something. Maybe you'll start with like the P switch on or something. I am not sure that it actually worked though. Maybe just like an on-off being in a different position would be good enough, honestly, and then all it has to do is open a path, and then, you know, you would be shuffled to a rightward section of the level. And, you know, if, you know, usually half a thing, hey, Deputy DK, you're coming in at the tail end of a pretty long little making stream. How you doing? Usually with, I'm talking about this level, which is my next level, which is going to be a Link level, in which the angry sun will be a factor, and also it'll probably be like a moving, like a platform level like this. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that if you're dependent on a moving platform anyway, it's not gonna eat up real estate all that fast. You know, not gonna eat up the 5 screens per part of the level all that fast. Ooh, you gotta be careful about that. It can't be possible to kill the sun. Well, I say that. You can absolutely kill the sun with a well-timed bomb, but who's gonna do that? Honestly. You'd have to be really well-timed for that to actually work out in your favor, I think. That said, that idea with this tower thing, it's a cool idea to have a bunch of them just fire off like that, but yeah, it's not gonna work with the sun, is it? And the upside of it, the outside, I think is going to be like Super Mario Bros. 1 Sky, which has some nice ramparts and some stuff that is makes sense for you know, a dungeon, like a temple type theming. Anyway, I was going to start into this level in earnest, but the revision stuff on my last level ended up taking like 3 hours. So that's you know, that's gonna be it. By the way, Deputy DK, I just did some revisions on a bunch of my levels and re-uploaded them. So if you want to really like it'd be very cool if you tried some of them out. I spent most of the stream revising this one, Ne'er-Do Nebula. Tell you what, I'm gonna play through Ne'er-Do Nebula one last time. The new version of it. new after 3 hours of work with significant changes. And that'll be how we end. Ne'er-Do Nebula is the 35th level of my super world. The last level of world the last level of world 7. I sort of picture this as the first K. Rool fight in a DKC game. You know, equivalent of like Baron K. Rulenstein first battle, and in fact, very much inspired by that battle, I will say. Insofar as you'll have to go under and above Bowser repeatedly, left to right, and, you know, do stuff accordingly. And a lot of little changes were made during this stream. A lot of little changes. Some of the boo volume was reduced a little bit. There's fewer boos now, fewer boo wheels. It was before perhaps a little bit overkill. Which, you know, I thought was fine because some of the boo wheels, they're not there to be avoided. Or they're not there to be like, what? Come on. Bowser, please. Ah! Bowser. That's cool, okay. You get to see these parts, which also has changes in it. This part also changed a bit. This is just a little section before you get back into the boss fight. I'm not really, I don't really like just having the checkpoint be right before the boss fight. Even though on your first try, I think it's more fun if you just go right into it. Okay, this time we'll go smoother. It almost never happens the way it happened last time. Almost never. That tire was moved one out. I added another shelmet there just as to make things a little bit simpler for the player. Added another heart. I almost said heart. Added another. Let me just jump over him. Take the hit. That's fine. And look there. There's the biggest change, probably. There's now a red Yoshi that you can get after a few laps during this final section. Eeks. And the final Yoshi will come after you go back and forth 3 times. For what it's worth, you only need one more shell at this point to actually kill Bowser. But Yoshi makes it a lot quicker. Basically, with Fire Flower and Yoshi, it only takes 2 additional blasts to actually kill him, which I think is very fun. And that is Koopaverse 5, Ne'er-Do Nebula. I'm not going to say that's necessarily for sure the final version, but it's certainly version 2, and I'm pretty confident in it. Oh yeah, let me also do... I forgot to do this thing. 1 second. I just gotta jump here and leave a comment that says part-time 20 seconds. Or, oh... How did I format that? Shit, I forgot. 1 second. Let me go back to one of the earlier levels in that world. Coastal Cup. And check how I framed it. Okay, yeah, so it should be 0:20. 0:20. 0:20. Par. What's a cat? Was fucking. Was time capitalized? Oh my god. It's a title. It's not a title. Is it a title? What decision did I make back then? Oh my god. Whatever, I'm gonna put in part-time with this. And then if I'm wrong, I'll fucking delete it and do it again. God damn it. Maybe I could have made 2 comments, one of each, and then, you know, deleted the wrong one. Yes, okay. Lowercase t. Guessed right. Good, okay. That's... Anyway. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Thanks, y'all, for coming by and watching me do some making. I have, in previous streams of this sort, done some viewer levels at the end, but like I said, 1, no promise of that, and 2, the making, the revisions, they took so long to come together and get good, and, like, really, like, address all the problems that I knew about or could find that, yeah, we're far later than I even intended on streaming tonight, honestly. This was supposed to be short stream. You know, this is about as long as any of the Friday streams usually are. Let me see who's online. Let me tell you what we're doing. You know, here's the right thing. Also, I need to change that to say, like, this week's schedule or something. I didn't, like, manually do it. Anyway, this week is a special schedule, which, like you can see, we ended up doing some Tuesday night making. And, we'll be back in earnest with a full-length stream, not that this wasn't fucking long as hell, at 6 p.m. Central on Thursday. I'm going to be starting Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 Deluxe. And basically, I'm going to be doing them 3 days at a time. 3 days of each, and then I move to the next one. 3 days of that one, move on to the next one, etc. I got some fancy UI stuff that I'm working on for that. That's coming along. Let me see who's online. I don't usually do Tuesday streams that often, so there's some different folks streaming than what I usually have for options. I'm thinking Cryo the Adventurer. Looks like he's playing I think that's Apex Legends. That's Apex Legends. Let's go with that. That sounds good to me. Thank y'all for coming by, for watching me do this stuff. I hope that you'll check out the level, the levels, the level that we spent most of the time revising, and also the 5 revised levels that just got re-uploaded. I would really like all of those to start getting some plays and some likes, because, ooh boy, they're restarting at 0, whereas some of them used to have 100 likes. I'm sure when the Super World is completed and everyone, you know, plays it and finds out, like, oh, this is phenomenal, this is fantastic, all those will get more than 100 likes, you know, but that's still a ways away. I'll see y'all on Thursday for Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. Y'all have a good one. Bye, folks.